So you guys, I'm gonna tell y'all about that time that I was fighting at Walmart, right? So so what happened was I used to work at Walmart, right? Location don't matter, none of that don't matter. Y'all know I don't tell names in none of my stories, not my style, right? So we just gonna call this person um we're gonna call her Gap Mouth. We're gonna call her Gap Mouth, right? So what happened? So okay. So when I first started working at Walmart, for those that have worked at a Walmart, y'all know that Walmart's this is actually gonna be a quick story time because it actually happened very quick. So for those of y'all that have actually worked at a Walmart, y'all know that Walmart sometimes goes through what they call like a remodel, where they're remodeling the store. So this particular store was going through a remodel. And actually Walmart was my first job. This was my first job. Um, it was a good lesson because, as we all know, when working, it's not like high school or middle school or whatever. Like, as far as it was a lesson because, you know, jobs are not like school. They're not, I'm thinking, well, if I swing on her, I'm gonna just get suspended. Or if I just whoop her ass right quick, all they're gonna do is give me 5, 10 days, it's not like that. If you fight on the job, they don't care who started it. Both of y'all ass getting fired. And that was the case, right? So watch this. So our store was going through a remodel. Um, I told y'all before, I'm usually the girl that hang with the guys. I'm usually not the girl that be with the girls, right? Especially the gay guys. I love me a gay guy because they are funny. It's they are funny. I started to say the F word, but I know you too funny about that word. But anyway, so so our store was going through a remodel. I was hanging with the guy. I'm gonna say this name. But I was hanging with. Let's just say we were just gonna call him the guy, and it was like a Spanish girl. She was kind of cool. She would be around us sometimes, but she was kind of cool. So I really ain't mad. I usually don't really, but she was kind of cool and she was funny. So I didn't mind talking to them because they was funny. I like funny people, right? So and then it was like the other crew, right? You could tell like I didn't like the way that they used to do him. Like it really wasn't my battle to fight, but you ever seen a girl that's always like hitting a guy, slapping him upside the head and stuff like that. And I just never understood that because it's like, for the most part, if he's a real man, I don't care if he's gay or not. That don't make him, just because he gay don't mean he can't be a real man. If he's a real man, he's not going to hit you back. So it's kind of like you pulling a, I'm going to hit you, but you can't do shit card. That's whack. So anyway, so it would be a girl that I went to school with that I knew that she started shit and instigate. So but she was one of the ones that's real quiet, but she do all her stuff on the low. Which, and the only reason why I knew that because as I got older, I looked back on a lot of stuff that had transpired and a lot of the fights that I had got into. I had looked back on a lot of the stuff and realized that she was playing sides, right? So she used to hang with another girl. We just gonna call her Wendy's because she used to work at Wendy's part time. That's the only name I can give her. Because she won't fat, she won't, nothing like that. So it was all I could think of. We just gonna call her Wendy's because I know her name, but I'm not gonna drop her name. So she hung with Wendy's. So we're gonna call the girl that I'm referring to that I went to school with. We're gonna call her Beanpole. So Beanpole, Wendy's, and Gap Mouth, they were good. They were good Judies. I guess you could call them the Mean Girl crew, because that's what they was aiming for. But Beanpole, she wasn't. She was like on the low with hers. She was on the low with her stuff, but I knew what type of chick she was. She was the one that do. She appears to be real quiet and stuff, but she keeps shit going on the low. So them three was like the Three Musketeers, right? So then you had me, that guy, and we're gonna call the Spanish girl. We're just gonna call her Spanish girl, right? So so we didn't, it was, they used to say little stuff when Gap Mouth used to pit with him. When he would, how some gay guys, like, they just start dancing out of nowhere, no music playing, he just dancing, and it just was funny to me because it's no music playing. What are you dancing to? What are you dancing to? So he's like, girl, the beat in my head, ow, he just was funny. He was a vibe to be around. He was funny. So we would be cracking up off of him because he was just funny, right? So, mind you, I was the night crew. There. I had a day job, but I was the night crew on remodel, right? So, so it was real quick. I won't there that long at all. Like, when I tell y'all, it happened so quick. Like, so, I never forget that day, you could tell with some static between them, but I just didn't like how she just kept saying stuff to him. I just didn't like it because to me, I couldn't see what the issue was. I really couldn't, like, I'm a Leo. I don't fight other people's battles no more because I've had to learn for myself, back in the day, as you get older, you look back on things. Nobody never fought my battles. It was always, I told y'all I had a good Judy back in the day. It was always, she would always go start stuff with people and be like, well, I ain't got to fight. My best friend can fight. I don't call people best friend. I call people good Judy. But the thing was, she referred to me as her best friend. And looking back as I got older, I realized, wait a minute, you're not nobody bodyguard. Like, you're not nobody, that's not your responsibility to fight other people's battles. That's not what God put you on the earth to do. That's not what you're gonna do. So, and I had to look back on things when it was always my fight. I always had to be standing there by myself. So with time, I realized, no, even though I'm 10 toes by myself, but no, that's not what we doing all the damn time. So anyway, but at that particular time, I felt that I didn't like what was being done. So I never forget one time, I was about to clock in, how I don't know if they still do it that same way. Walmart, I don't know if Walmart still do it that way, but you can't clock in early unless it's like 5 minutes before your shift, right? So, I remember sometime, and they don't allow y'all to like stand all out in the hallway and stuff. I don't know if they still do it that way, but the earliest you can like leave your where you at, the walk back there is like 8:55. That's the earliest you can do that. Was it 8:55? Whatever. I don't know. What time did that shift start? Or was it 7:55? Or was it 6:50? Hell, I don't know. I think it was 6:55. I think the shift was 10 to 7, I think. I can't remember. But anyway, it was a while ago. So anyway, so sometimes I would be clocking in or clocking out or whatever, and I could hear her. You know how you just ain't nobody really ain't said nothing to you directly, but you just may not like the way they carrying it with, your friend or your people, your good Judy or whatever. So it's kind of like you waiting on them to say something just so you can have a reason to tag their ass. So, and I never wanted to be that way. I never wanted to like say nothing to her directly because, for one thing, she didn't do nothing to me. Right? And I know how it feels to be that person beefing with people, family or people, friend, and they don't know you from Adam. So it's kind of like, it's you in between a rock and a hard place because it's like, I don't want to do that because I know how it feels. But it's kind of like, I want to say something just a little bit like, hey, so, I think what was the line in the sand for me was one time he was crying because he was real sensitive. And one time he was crying and he told me how she said, if you a F word, what an F word, I told y'all he was gay, you going to hell. And he was crying because he was saying how, I don't think it was so much of just her. He told me how he's tired of people saying that, just because he's gay, that don't mean he's going to heaven. And like I told him, don't nobody got a heaven or hell to put you in. You can't worry about that, So, that kind of hurt my feelings to see him crying like that, because, he was a sweet person. He was very sweet. So, he was one of the people, if you get to know him, you're going to get attached to him very quickly, because he was a sweet person. He was funny as shit, right? So, and I don't like people that often, but when I like somebody, I really like them, and I will go hard for you if I really like you. So, well, not like that, you know what I mean? But, so that kind of hurt my feelings. So me being me, I went and I told Beanpole, because I know how she is. I kind of set a little bait because I wanted her to take that shit. And she did, her being her, because she's always started shit ever since we were in elementary school. Looking back on a lot of the fights that I got into, she used to set them shits up. So she, I set a little bait, I did, and she took it. I said, so I knew who the chick was, but that was my way of bringing her to the back. Because I was in the back. I forgot what they call that loading room where you take the stuff out on the floor. They get it set up and you take it out on the floor. That's where the fight went down, right? So I said, so who is, I actually said her name, but I'm going to say Gapmouth. I said, so who is Gapmouth? Who is she? And, she said, she was describing how she looked. She said, the girl that I be with, da 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 da. I said, no, I don't know. Who is she anyway? So, she would say, the girl that told you the other day that she liked your lipstick, the one that when you was walking past and she told you she liked your lipstick. And I said, no, I don't remember. But I remember, but from what I was hearing, she still, because I used, how Black China had the dimples in her cheeks. I used to have them back in around this time period. So she's, and I heard that she had told me that, I heard that she had said that my dimples was, look goofy or something she was saying. But I ain't never cared no way because I liked them, but I ended up having to take them out when I had got me an office job back around. Not long after that, I ended up getting me an office job, so I had to take them out. So anyway, nonetheless, so even though I didn't care and I already didn't like her ass because I didn't like the way she was shaming him because he was gay, I didn't really care about her talking about my dimples. To be honest, I wanted a reason to tag her anyway, because I just didn't like the way that she was doing him. And I felt that it was low key. She was on her bully. And I don't like bullies because I know how it feels for people to pick on me, back in the day. And I just don't like it. So, because I told you I had real big boobs growing up. And a lot of people used to F with me behind that. By the time I got in middle school, I was wearing a triple K bra. And a lot of people didn't understand how my boobs, was that big. But, oh, she got surgery. Oh, she just got that. And the whole time it runs heavy in my family. It's hereditary. So that's why I pray that when I have children, I pray that they don't have boobs like that. I pray that my daughters don't have to go through the things that I went through, because it's not fun. Kids can be very cruel. So I don't like bullies. I don't like stuff like that. But as I got older, I had to realize, don't be in a rush to speak up for people, because when it's you, ain't nobody gonna say shit for you. So you need to keep it on mute, right? So boom. So I told y'all this was my first job. So anyway, I didn't know. I'm thinking I'm just gonna get 5-10 days. Oh, it'd be 5-10 days. It'll come back, be all right. So anyway, so I told you I used to fight all the time growing up. So so I told Beanpole, I'm gonna say her name. I told Beanpole, I said, so yeah, I told her, who's this person? She said, the girl that told you she like your lipstick, da da da. So I said, oh, okay. I don't remember. So I knew what I was doing. I wanted her to go back and tell her, because I knew that's what type of female she was. I wanted her to go back and tell her, and I knew Wendy's had a slick mouth, and those were the type of chicks they were. So I knew that the message would get back. So I said, who is she? So blah blah blah, right? So she said, so she tried to explain. I said, I don't remember. Then I walked away. I knew what I was doing. So one particular day, right? So I told y'all how I had told Beanpole. So anyway, so a couple of days had went by. I told that guy. I told him that we used to talk on the phone, and I'm not big on giving people my number and stuff like that. And I keep in touch with who I want to keep in touch with. And even after I stopped working there, we kept in touch for a little while. But the thing is, I would talk to him on the phone and stuff like that and give him words of encouragement because he was going through a lot in his personal life too. And that could have been why he was a little more emotional when people kept saying, you're going to hell for being gay. You're going to hell for being gay. That was something that really bothered him. And like I told him, the important thing is you're living in your truth. A lot of people these days, a lot of guys and women don't come out the closet, so don't worry about, what people are saying as long as you have the guts to live in your truth. And she was one of the women that I found out that don't live in her truth. And that could have been why she used to beef with him so hard, because she hated people that lived in their truth. And quiet as it's kept, she ended up getting a girlfriend not long after that. So it's like, why you hating on gay people so bad when you the whole time you wanted the kids, your damn self. So, why do that? But anyway, so not long after that, and that's not even her say. I ended up, because I word on somebody told me that she was making some threats on social media, in which I didn't care, because I'm about to get to that. You was making threats right to my face, and you ended up eating your words. So I could care less about you telling social media, calling the dogs. I don't care. As long as I can get my one-on-one, I don't care. You can whistle the whole damn army for all I care. I don't give a damn. Give me my one-on-one. Line them up. We ain't doing no banking. Line them up. So, and you see how that's another reason why I just want to add this in there. You see why it's important not to take other people's battles? Because I had to learn that, with time, I learned that, because you can end up fighting by yourself, and the other person that you fighting for, they going on about their business, but you standing there by yourself, and I had to learn that with time. That's gonna be another story time for another day, but I'm gonna tell y'all the story time what made me stop taking other people's battles. And that's probably gonna be the title of the story time, what made me stop taking other people's battles. That time when I took a girl battle and I almost got banked, right? And when I told her, I said, I almost got banked for you. And she said, well, I didn't ask you to do it. I didn't ask you to say nothing. And me being me, I don't like bullies because I know how it feels. And from that point forward, that made me stop taking other people's battles. I might voice my opinion. I might. But I'm not swinging for nobody else. That time when I almost got banked, that's going to be a story time for another day. But ever since then, that made me, once I found out that them girls was setting me up to lure me somewhere to bank me, I found it out from my guy friend that I had mentioned him before in one of my other story times. Once I found that out, he had found out that they were trying to set me up to bank me. That right there, that made me stop taking other people's battles. When that bitch had fixed her mouth and said, I didn't ask you to do it, that's what made me stop taking other people's battles. Because I found out I had to learn that you'll be there standing by yourself and they're going on about their business and they not even fixing their mouth to say thank you, I appreciate it, thank you for getting them bitches off my back, whatever. That made me stop taking other people's battles. And like my guy friend told me, you are the only child. You have to be careful. You have to be careful making enemies. You have to be careful, fighting folks. You got to be careful because you by yourself. So that's what made me, after that, when I found out that girl was trying to, her and her sisters and them was about to set me up to lure me somewhere. I said, oh hell no. Nah. I'm not fighting nobody else about it. And that bitch going on about her business, and then I'm left with these bitches. Oh no. Oh no. That made me say, But anyway, so back to the story. That's gonna be a story time for another day. But so anyway, so back to the story time. So it happened really quick, honestly. She came to the back and she was singing that song one particular shift, like I told y'all, a couple days that went by. And she was singing that song. I heard bitches is looking for me. Here I go. Here I go, you know. So they laughing, Beanpole and Wendy's, they laughing, you know, walking behind her. And I looked at Beanpole and I said, now why you bring this girl into the Lion's Den like this? And she started laughing. I said, you already know how I'm giving it up. Why would you set her up like this for the okie doke? And she said, she looked at her, she said, set me up for the okie doke. Set me up for the okie doke. You really think you can beat me, bitch? You can't F with me. You can't F with these hands. You know, so I'm just quiet, right? I'm just listening to her. Because I've learned throughout the years, the time that you spend talking, you need to be saving all that energy. Because just like you don't know them, they don't know you. Vice versa, right? So I look at her and I said, why do you set her up for the okie doke? You know, and she set me up for the okie doke and did it all, right? So then we had words and she telling me, you know, I'm quiet for the most part, but she telling me what she gonna do to me. And you know, so one particular time I had sat down in a chair, right? So tell me why this bitch, which was, you know, I'm sitting down in the chair to, like, you know, I'm tying up my shoe, whatever, you know, stuff like that. So as I'm tying up my shoe, she actually walks up to me and leans over me and saying, yeah, bitch, what's up? You know, basically talking shit, you know, telling me what she gonna do to me and da-da-da. So at this particular store, by being that we were night shift, I already had on my bonnet this particular day because my curls won't dry. I told y'all I love curls. My curls won't dry. I still had my rollers in and stuff, and I won't definitely want back to come to work with no roll, which a bonnet don't make it no better. But anyway, so my curls won't dry. My rods was still in. They was real tight, you know. And I wasn't about to take them out. They didn't care. Other people had wear this, which I'm older now. I wouldn't dare wear no bonnet out in public. But I'm in my mid-20s now. But back then, you know, I was a little younger. So, you know, but now I wouldn't dare put no bonnet on in public. You know, as you get older, you do things differently, right? So, which is nothing wrong with it. I never shame people about wearing a bonnet because I've done it back in my younger days. So I don't really, you know, get into that's trashy, whatever, because a lot of the bitches that saying it's trashy, they have done trashy things. They just don't speak on it. Okay. Anyways, so she's just telling me what she gonna do to me and, you know, and stuff like that. And, I won't really, you know, I'm just listening to her. So what made me, you know, I ended up getting up and I told her back up, right? I said, okay, and you spoke your piece, back up. So as I'm backing up, and you know how somebody walking up on you as you backing up slowly. So she ended up, she said, bitch, I ain't got to do nothing. I'll F you up and da-da-da. Don't you be around here asking about who I am, who you think you are, and da-da-da. What's up, bitch? You looking for me, you know, da-da-da-da. So I ended up leaning back, right? And I act like I was going to turn around, and I stole off on her ass. And we got to fighting, and I was whooping her ass. And she got tired. I ain't give a F. I ain't care. And they tried to break us up, and we just kept fighting. And that was that. That bitch was swinging in mid-air. I had her head down, and I was popping her ass. I was hitting her every which way but loose. I would not turn her. I would not turn her loose. Okay, I was popping her ass. I was hitting her in the face. I was hitting her in the back of her head. I was just clocking her ass, kicking her, everything, anything I could do. So they ended up breaking us up, and I looked at her and I said, "You say you're gonna do what to me?" And she, you know. So it was real quick, but this story time was not so much on details of the fight because I told y'all from the beginning, it was real quick. It was real quick. Um, so she ended up telling them that she wanted us to square up and fight, fair, face up, And the man, that was kind of funny. I'm gonna say his name. We're gonna call him Sumo, cause he looked like a little sumo wrestler. And Sumo ended up telling her, "You had plenty time to get your technique in order." And everybody started laughing. She got pissed off. I guess she was embarrassed because basically what he was telling her was, you spent all that time telling her what you gonna do to her, and then when it got time to do it, so she got pissed off, and so she said, "Okay, let's square up one more time, run it, fair one." And the guy told, and the sumo told her no, because you should have been had that together. You came all the way back here to get embarrassed. You came away from the clothing section all the way to the back of the Walmart to come back here. And you could have been, that's what you, when you was talking about what you was going to do to me, if you was going to do all that, you should have just went ahead and did it. I could never be the type of bitch that walk up on somebody and tell them what I'm going to do to them. Like I told y'all about the bitch in the City Trends, when I got into it with the bitch in City Trends. If you gonna walk up to me, tell me you gonna F me up and all this other stuff, first of all, you walking up on me empty-handed. See, back then at Walmart, I wasn't carrying. Now, these days, I keeps it on me. Ever since that time, I got into it with that guy in the Chinese restaurant, that big black guy. Ever since then, I have a concealed carry. I don't flaunt it. I don't showcase it. You know how some people always talk about what they got on in their purse and all in their hip, or they whatever they keep it. I don't do that. But when that's the situation, ever since that situation happened with that guy spitting in my face in the Chinese restaurant, I keeps it on me. You know what I'm saying? So ever since then, back at Walmart days, I did not carry. You see what I'm saying? So you have to be careful walking up on people, talking about what you gonna do to them and this, that, and the third, because I had already had in my mind when the girl in the City Trends, when the bitch in the City Trends walked up on me and told me what she was gonna do to me, I already had my hand in my purse. And she didn't get in my face like the girl in Walmart, but she walked up on me. Like she walked up, but she at a certain point she had stopped. But I had already said in my mind, if she touched me, it's a wrap, shawty. You walking up on me, telling me what you gonna do to me, and you empty-handed. Even if you want empty-handed, that's even worse. So going back to the story time, stop walking up on people, telling them what you gonna do to them on 10. Because as we got to fighting, I could hear her breathing. She got tired. I told y'all I was running her tired. You stop doing it, because just like the bitch in City Trends, you spending all this energy, and that's time you wasting. Why you doing all that? I'm saving my energy for you. I could hear her literally breathing hard. She was getting tired, and we were the same size. She wasn't fat around that time. I wasn't fat around that time. We were the same size, same height, everything. It was no reason for you to be that tired. You know why she was that tired? Because she had ran her mouth so much. She had exhausted a lot of that energy. So stop walking up on people, telling them what you're going to do to them. Okay? More of the story time. This story time not gonna be too much about the details of it, because it was really quick. Don't be fighting on these jobs. Take it from me, that was my first job. I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna get 5-10 days, that's gonna be it. No, you fight on the job. That's it. They don't care who started it, who walked up on who threatened who. They do not care. So I'm thinking so once the fight was over, um, that guy wasn't there that night, right? So, and that's what sucked even more because I wanted him to see the fight. And I called him up on the phone when I got home and I was talking to him about it. And he was like, "Oh, I already heard, I'm so happy, I'm glad you did that. You did that for me, you know. But the thing is, so after the fight, um, they had broke us up and she was so embarrassed after Sumo told her no, you should have been did all that. You had plenty of time to prepare yourself from the walk from the clothing store all the way back here. Then you spent all that time telling her what you was gonna do and then you didn't do it. So she was so embarrassed when everybody started laughing, including Beanpole and Wendy's. And she looked at them. She said, "Y'all supposed to be my bitches," like, but I already knew they was gonna do that because birds of the same feather flock together. If I knew Wendy's and Beanpole are good friends, so 9 times out of 10 they are just alike. They got ways just alike. So that's the type of females that they are. They start shit. They throw rocks. They hide their hands. So I already knew they was gonna do that, right? So she was so embarrassed. She ended up walking off. And she just left. So me being me, I'm thinking it's gonna be like high school. Oh, I'm gonna just write my statement. They're gonna take my side, they're gonna take their side. Probably give me 10 days and that be that. So I said, I looked and I said, "Oh, y'all just want my statement?" And he said, yeah, you write your statement. So they ended up taking me in the room, telling me write my statement. So I'm thinking, or maybe it's gonna be like high school. After you write your statement, you go back to class. So I'm thinking, so y'all want me to go back to where I was? He said, He said, "You go ahead and clock out." I said, "Clock out?" He said, "Yeah." Oh, I said, "Oh, I'm thinking it's gonna be like high school. The principal, whatever, reach out, whatever." I said, "So y'all be in touch to tell me when I could come back or after I do my days?" He said, "What days?" I said, "Like my little suspension days." Oh, he said, "Oh, you think you're getting suspended?" I said, "Yeah, He said, So, so he kept talking about, he said, "You beat that girl with a pole, like a little piece of metal or whatever." I said, "No, I didn't. We were just fighting." And he said, "You gonna tell me what we saw? You ended up beating that girl with a pole." I said, "No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I was just hitting her." He said, "Yeah, and you was hitting her with a piece of pole too. You think you just about to get suspended?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about with this pole stuff." So he said, "Okay, I tell you what, just clock out. We'll stay in touch, right?" So I'm thinking, some days went by and I was talking to my deuce about it. I'm like, I ain't heard back. What about, I ain't heard back. And so she said, "Look, girl, you probably fired, okay?" And defer back in that day, I don't know if Walmart still do it the same way, but you got to get a couple of paper checks before you get direct deposit. So I was going to end up having to go back up there anyway. So, my dude said, I'm going to take you up there because I told y'all back in the day, before I got a car, I used to take the bus. I'm not ashamed about that. So my dude took me up there. So when I went up there, because I had to get my paper check anyway, because I told y'all I won't there that long, they used to do like, I think it was 3 paper checks before they do the direct deposit. So I don't know if they still do it that way, but so she took me up there or whatever, and I went inside, and I ended up asking the our team lead. I said, "So where is da da da?" And she said, "Oh," she said, "Oh, it's you. Hey, how you doing?" And she was stuttering. And I'm like, "What's going on around here? Ain't nobody called me to tell me when I'm coming back to work. Nothing, And she said, "Back to work?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Weren't you the one that had beat the girl in her back with that pole?" I said, "I didn't beat nobody with a pole. I was the one, I was fighting, but I wasn't beating nobody with no pole." And she said, the one that was fighting da-da-da in the back room, right? I said, who, yeah, we were fighting, but I didn't hit nobody with nothing. She said, you did. You did. You really did. And she said, I'll tell you what. Because I was going back and forth with her because I didn't remember hitting that girl with nothing. I really did. I didn't remember hitting that girl with nothing. So, so I went to the back and she said, sit right here. I'm going to go get da-da-da. And so I ended up talking to the assistant store manager. And I ended up asking her, I said, hey, ain't nobody called me about coming back to work and stuff like that. And looking back where they was trying to say in so many words, you're not coming back to work. But I won't catching the hint. So that's why I tell y'all all the time, it's important to catch hints because you'll save yourself from a lot of running in loops. That's why as I get older, I try to catch every hint with people because sometimes no answer is an answer. Your answer is there, but you're just not paying attention, So I said, I'm talking to her and I'm like, ain't nobody said nothing to me about coming back to work. And looking back, the way she was looking at me like, bitch, you're not coming back. What are you not getting, So she said, she looked at me and she called my name. She said, da-da-da. There was a whole investigation going on about that fight. I said, really? I said, what type of investigation? She said, you beat that girl with a piece of crane bar that we had in the back. Like, we could have had you arrested. What do you mean? What do you mean you think you're coming back to work? And I said, no, I didn't. We just was fighting. So what? I should be able to come back. She said, regardless, whether you hit her with the piece of crane or not, if you fight on the job. And then she kind of did her hands like a line, like, hello. So I'm like, okay, but just let me speak to the store manager. Just let me speak to the store manager. And so she said, okay, fine. You're not, I can't tell you nothing, fine. So the lady, the team lead ended up coming back. She said, hey, come with me. So I come back, with her, and she take me out with him. And I said, hey, and then she said, here she goes. And he said, oh, it's you. I said, yeah. I said, so when I'm coming back to work, you ain't tell me about my days. You ain't tell me about what about my days, And he said, come back to work. I said, yeah. He said, at this store? I said, yeah, I said, ain't nobody I wrote my statement, ain't nobody asked more questions. I'm thinking it's gonna be like high school, y'all sit down, take, salt and whatever. And he said, well, for what? I said, he said, he cut right across. He said, look, I tell you what, you're fired. I said, fired? Like, I did not see that coming. He said, yes, you beat that girl with a piece of crane. What do you think is gonna happen? Like, I said, no, I was just hitting her. I ain't beat her with. He said, you beat that. No. He said, I saw the cameras. You beat that girl with a piece of crane. You not coming stepping foot in this Walmart or no other Walmart. Furthermore, I said, damn, it's like that. So that was all she wrote. But from this day forward, I have even just tested the waters. When he said, no other Walmart, I said, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? So I ended up, putting in for another application, right? So I'm like, man, forget y'all. I just go to another store. I ain't worry about that, right? Being young. So it wanted to, I tried to put in an application. Soon you put in that social, it say, basically in a nutshell, it was saying, I'm sorry, you are uneligible to work at any Walmart stores, Inc. / Sam's Club. And that was all she wrote. So they blackballed my social security, so I can't even come back. But they didn't file charges. They just blackballed me. So I can't work at Walmart no more. But that taught me a lesson. Don't be fighting on these jobs because they don't care who started it. They didn't care nothing about her threatening me. They didn't care nothing about her walking back there telling me what she was going to do to me. They didn't care nothing about her getting in my face. And it wasn't until that guy told me, you probably blacked out. You were probably hitting her, but she made you so mad. You probably still hit her with that stuff, because he claimed somebody took a video and he said from what he saw in the video, I was hitting her with that pole. But I don't remember that. To this day, I still don't remember that. But I have been told before, when I fight, I probably black out. Because a lot of stuff that people say that be happening, I don't be remembering it. But my dudes have told me that come from me holding in so much stuff throughout the years. You know, that's probably where it stems from. But anyway, nonetheless, don't fight on the job, y'all. It ain't worth it. But it's all good. And I never saw her again after that. That's why I say sometimes you be fighting with folks, and you know, I saw on social media. Only reason why I saw her social media is because that guy told me how she was, you know, kissing the other girl on the social media, and I'm like, but she was talking about you though. But she wanted the kids. Like, anyway, so that's it, y'all, and that's my little story time. Don't fight on the job. They will fire your ass. They do not care.